Okay, so I gotta talk to you guys about this. I asked on my community post yesterday if you guys have seen Madagascar, and like 96% or so of you said that you have. So I have to tell you about this because this was a shocking discovery for me. So let me tell you, first of all, a long time ago, I stumbled upon the Wikipedia page of Madagascar. Why? I don't really remember, but I remember that I saw this section on MORT, and that section was kind of disturbing and weird. Do you remember MORT? This little guy right here. So I stumbled upon that Wikipedia page, and then I was like, oh, like I kind of forgot about it. I read a bunch of things that were just ridiculous about MORT, and then kind of moved on from it. And then recently, a couple of days ago or so, maybe it was yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, I got this recommendation, which was this video from like the Theorizer channel. Is that the name? I don't know. I'm gonna link it in the description. But basically, this guy tried to understand what MORT is, because listen, there's some weird stuff going on in that whole like Madagascar universe. Because the thing is, the movies, I don't remember much from them because I watched them when I was very young. But what I can tell you now is the fact that this little cute creature is so weird that I thought that this guy in the videos, like this theory videos, that he was just going insane. Honestly, I thought that he's just coming up with things because it was so out of pocket, so out of nowhere, just so ridiculous that I was pretty sure that he was just coming up with things, you know, like there's no way a kids show, because there's a show called All Hail King Julian, which is the spin-off show of the movies, of the Madagascar movies. And I was just like, there's no way they've put that in a kids show. There's literally no way. I was kind of just watching one video after another, just him mentioning things, and like at one point I was just like, this can't be real, because at one point this guy just goes, everyone in this show is implied to be either Jewish or bisexual. That is such a weird statement, considering that all the characters in that world, they don't seem to be aware of other religions or anything like that, but then all of a sudden they are. So I'm just gonna throw some things at you, okay? Some facts about MORT and about that show. And it's not gonna be in any particular order. I'm just gonna let you know about this because I can't be the only one who knows about this. I know that I'm not the only one, but I don't know how many of you know about this, and I can't be just thinking about this on my own without having some kind of company, because this information is not letting me sleep, because I cannot believe that this character is all of those things. Let me get into it. First of all, right here on the wiki, there's like a bunch of things that we can at least read through, so it gives us some kind of structure. And the first thing that kind of pops out at you is the fact that his age is something upward of 50, so he's older than everybody else in the movie or in the show. The fact is, actually, I checked that, and he's not only is he technically 50 years old, apparently he's 50 years old since his reincarnation or something. He is a multiverse creature that is like his own species, a species called MORT. They can absorb each other. Excuse me. And that's why he has voices in his head. It's because all the other MORTs that he's absorbed over the years that he's forgotten about, because he's so old, he's literally thousands of years old. He's so old that he needs to continuously wipe his memory so he doesn't go insane. So sometimes he gets like some information back from his alter ego, Smart MORT, that comes out only when he drinks coffee. And that's the only MORT that remembers everything. And that MORT is not the MORT. It's just another MORT that MORT absorbed. Isn't it already insane? And I just started talking. He has an obsession with King Julian's feet. It's such a big thing in the show that it's kind of like, it's not quite clear what he is, whether he is death itself or if he is an alien from another constellation that looks like a foot, because he says that he's from there, but it's not quite clear if he is actually telling the truth, because technically he doesn't know anything about his life anymore because he wipes his memory all the time. So his species, technically they had this DNA test in the show, right? And then it came back being, okay, so he's a lemur, like everybody else on that, not everybody else on that island, but everyone in their kingdom, I guess, right? He is a bear because his grandfather is a bear and he absorbed him. He also absorbed his grandmother. How is this a thing? I genuinely, it just, what is so confusing to me is that this is kind of this little character that I remembered from my childhood that was, you know, really cute or whatever. And then it turns out that he's all of these things. I cannot. Who came up with this? Oh, he's also kind of immortal. He can regenerate parts of his body because he is part starfish. Okay, so one time he said that he even regenerated his head. He is part sand, part potbelly pig, part cactus, part spool of copper wire, wood chips, and possibly spider. Which is like, they say possibly spider, but then in the show it's actually confirmed that he's part spider because he can shoot spider webs out of his palms. Also, Mort is protected by ignorance force field. This is something that the penguins theorized, that's why he's like not hurt by some things, because he can bend. Like, they kind of theorize that it's because he's so unaware of things that he kind of gets away with a lot of them. But then it feels like it's also part due to the fact that he can bend reality to his will, because he's so lost in terms of where he is and what he's doing, because he's wiping his memory all the time. But at the same time, he's still so powerful because of how many morts he consumed and because of what kind of creature he is, that he can still do things like this. So there's literally, this is a quote from the Wikipedia, right? In All Hail King Julian Exiled, it is revealed that Mort is of a species that is near immortal and can suck out the life force of other Morts in the multiverse, giving them multiple personalities. This explains the smart Mort, an alter ego of his own, who is a version of himself from another universe of the multiverse, where he is an intelligent character. It is also revealed that Mort sucked out his own grandmother's life force, and she now lives inside his mind. Mort is also portrayed to have some traces of a Jewish heritage, as seen in Carl-Mageddon, after his grandfather shows up and the flashback appears of Mort as a child getting a present on Hanukkah from Grandpa Mort. And then it turns out that he's also his own grandfather. I don't know how that works at all, but yeah. There's some kind of door or some kind of, it's kind of like a wardrobe or whatever the fuck, I don't know. But basically, he walks through it, and then on the other side of that weird door, he crawls out on the surface of the earth, and it's like a video, like it's literally a video of our reality of a lemur somewhere in Madagascar, and he just crawls out and looks around and chills, and it's so strange. The only way you could explain his existence and why he's such a big part of the multiverse is because maybe his role is the role of death itself, that's why he absorbs others, and he can even absorb bears and stuff. He has a pocket dimension inside of him, inside of his stomach, okay? He can conjure up anything, he can eat an infinite amount of things, like for example, drink a whole ocean. There's a version of him in another multiverse, another dimension, where he goes in one of the seasons of this show, where he finds a version of himself that also absorbed a bunch of morts and has a bunch of other morts on that planet, and the entire planet is only populated by other morts. Anyway, another thing, so like let's look at his family, right? So Grandpa Mort, grandfather absorbed, Grammy Mort, grandmother absorbed. Then he had an ex-wife, and then 10 unnamed deceased ex-wives, 31 unnamed deceased children, unnamed grandchildren, and Aunt Trudy. This is ridiculous. How is this real? Okay, so another few like just points, right, that are even mentioned here. And the thing is, when I heard them in the video, I thought they were ridiculous. I went to check to those episodes that the guy referenced in the video. Like all of those things that he said in that video, they were all true. I thought he was just theorizing and coming up with things. You know how sometimes you get this weird videos, conspiracy videos, and people are just coming up with anything and everything. I thought that it was, that was the case. I went to check and everything was true. Starting with the fact that in the same episode, within like 5 minutes, we get King Julian in some sort of heaven of their equivalent of heaven or whatever, where there are sky gods, as they call them. And those sky gods, all of them are fruits. You think I'm joking? Like, for example, this one is literally a pineapple. And this screenshot right here of him sitting on this bench with a pineapple, this is from that episode where he's in heaven. What the hell? Mort also tries to keep and preserve King Julian's body multiple times while he believes he is dead, going so far as to create a display box for his severe defeat severed feet in Phantom of Club Moist. That's the real name of an episode. I checked. He can turn his head 180 degrees anti-clockwise in the good book. So he's like maybe even part owl. So there's multiple versions of himself inside his mind. And there was an episode in All Hail King Julian Exiled where he has a fight with the Morts in his head. So there's multiple versions. They have a fight in his mind. There's a smart Mort, political Mort. It has actually multiple political Morts, and one of them is like a dictator. A groovy 60s cult leader Mort, a cool Mort. The comments under this page, what the shit did I just read? This page doesn't seem to mention Mort being born 5 years premature. By the way, that's a fact too. I checked. One of the episodes, so I was so confused because in that episode Mort was in another dimension, I believe. King Julian was in heaven, and Maurice gets kidnapped by a bunch of bells, like, you know, those metal bells. Yeah, literally, bells. And then it turns out that it's not bells, it's just a bunch of snails that pretended to be bells because they are afraid of being eaten by the French. Can you tell I'm losing it? This is just... Anyway, I don't think I have much to say about that anymore. I just did not expect all this. Sometimes it's really fun to talk about nonsense like this. I love when animation companies make something ridiculous, but also at the same time, everything makes a lot more sense than in a lot of dramas that I watch that are for adults. Why? I don't know, maybe they're not that lazy, so their lore actually checks out, but it's insane. Absolutely unhinged. If you don't believe me, go check for yourself. But I just wanted you to know about this because I can't be the only one who's thinking about this right now at this moment. I need to spread the word. You're welcome. I'll be back soon with a styling video because they just take so long because I have to watch like a whole show to make a proper styling, you know? I'm still working on the shows that I already started, and it's gonna take a bit, so I'm here to just, you know, talk about this nonsense. See you soon. Bye.